Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the PowettPlay Podcast. It's me and Kai, as always. How are you, Kai?
Hanging in there. How are you, John?
Yeah, good. Thank you very much. Following on, we'll look at the second T20, and following on from the other points, I think the groundsman might be getting his P45.
I'm not sure why he hasn't gotten it yet. I'm starting to question why he has citizenship in the country.
Considering we touched on it earlier on about following on from the ODI series, but yeah, a good win though, and a good, they probably did fall maybe 60, no, not 60, sorry, maybe 50 short. What would you say?
I'd say anywhere from 30 to 50 shot, 100%, based on being 106 for one and then ending up 118 for six. Terrible follow-away through the middle. I still thought, and I was messaging you all along saying, I still thought that regardless of what, they were going to get 180 because of the depth of the batting. Didn't materialize, 149. But I think not only do the Bangladesh groundsmen deserve questioning of citizenship, but the Bangladesh batting unit also needs to be questioned as well, because
definitely
that chase was so lackluster. It didn't look as though at any point in time they actually put an effort into trying to get the target that the West Indies set them. Having said that, I do think that the West Indies holistically had a very good bowling effort. I think starting with two seamers up front was needed based on the pitch and the conditions. I think the pitch seemed to change and spun slightly a bit more and slowed up a bit in the second half as well, which favoured the West Indies as well. So the seamers were able to get something out of it up front. And then the spinners were able to go through the middle and back end.
And then obviously from the batting perspective, I know we're gonna touch on Shai as well, but I wanted to bring, obviously it was good to see Alick Athanaze get that start and then obviously then kick on as well, and actually put a total up.
And that's what everyone's just been asking for him. I think obviously fell to the sweep shot again, but obviously much later in the innings he's given himself a chance. Now he's played more in front of him for longer periods of time, and you see the end result. He's someone that gets a start. We know he's going to get a start. Now he's carried on with that start, which is what the West Indies would want more of consistently going forward. Hopefully in the third game he can do much of the same as well, and take it even deeper now. Obviously haven't gotten a half century for a while. Now you've got that, you take over and you try and get to a 70-80 in the next game, but that was a very well played innings from him, and hopefully the start of what we're looking for from him in terms of consistency, because he has the ability, and that's all we've been asking, is just for him to just keep it simple, play less high risk shots, and just take what the bowlers give you. And once you do that, we've seen that he can get these types of scores.
Yeah, definitely. I think the way that he batted as well it shows he probably hasn't got the credit he sometimes get with from a strike rate perspective, but to go and do what he did today at strike rate of 157 shows that he has got that other gear as well that maybe he's not picked up or shown before really as well.
Yeah, and I've always said, I don't think that he's someone that's going to necessarily muscle the ball. I don't see him as someone that can clear the ropes consistently. I think his skill will sort of be hitting the ball into gaps, and if you hit it well, you get boundaries. If not, you get twos, and you continue to rotate the strike. So it's just understanding different players have different skill sets, but very well played from him today, and I'm very pleased that he went on past that start, because that's what the West Indies need from him to continue to start growing into.
Yeah, definitely. And for yourself as well, sometimes you feel that pressure's building up because you're not getting to it. So you get into the 30s and the 40s and you're not pushing on it. It sort of builds a bit more of internal pressure, thinking, am I actually going to ever get to that landmark, and then push on. And hopefully now, like you mentioned, he builds the 50s into a 70s into an 80s, then he goes again to that next level, which he's more than capable of doing so.
100%.
And then with Shai as well supporting, it does feel as though anything good from a batting perspective is off the back of Shai, and obviously that's one of the talking points that you mentioned. I've probably taken the words out of your mouth with that comment. That's exactly what you said to me.
Exactly.
I'll try and take the credit for that.
No, exactly. I think that you look at the Test series, the partnership with John Campbell, getting him to his first Test century.
Yeah.
The earlier series, all the people batting around him, getting contributions.
Yeah.
First T20, Justin Graves. Brandon King getting to 40-something, Rovman Powell getting to 40-something, now Alick Athanaze getting to 50. Shai's contribution is not anymore solely his individual performances, but he's now dragging and helping other players to get to scores as well, which is even more valuable than his personal contribution. I mean, obviously we know more often than not he would have batted through the innings, because one of these two-set batters ultimately needed to bat through the innings and get a 70 or 80 plus, and provide that platform, that solidity from one end, so that the other players from the other end could play more freely. But I think that Shai's batting now has gone to another level where he's able to dictate and manipulate games and help other players at the other end to be successful as well, which is something that is really pleasing to see, because now he's probably fully a world-class player across formats, and he's helping the rest of the team, he's dragging the rest of the team along with him. And if you can get at least another player like that in the team to help other players whilst they're batting, then it obviously alleviates Shai of some of that burden, but helps other players to have someone as a consistent ear at the other end, guiding them through their innings and helping the West Indies to consistently post competitive totals. So from Shai, obviously a professional run getter. I remember once Richie Richardson told me batting is not fun work in international cricket. It's hard work. You know, there'll probably be 2 or 3 days that you go out and play the type of innings you want to play, but it's more so a job, because you have to consistently accumulate runs given different conditions and playing in a manner that necessarily you don't want to play all the time, but you have to play based on the team. And Shai has definitely fitted into that mold right now, and he's really blossoming at the international level right now across formats.
Yeah, definitely. And the way you've summarised that is brilliant. And one of the key points that I wanted to pick up on there is this idea of in bringing people to that level that he is and bringing that performance up, and that's what real leaders are doing. Sorry, that's what leaders do, should I say, is they set that standard, and it's non-negotiables. It's what they bring in that high performance. People talk about high performance, and he's consistently at that high level of performance, and people will see how he carries himself from a professionalism, what he does from a practicing, because he's playing all three formats now. Each player in that West Indies team has seen how he goes about that, how he builds innings, how he takes himself, how he approaches game day, how he approaches his performance, how he analyses, and they're around that situation. They see that, and that's kind of now how you're seeing that increased performance, I think.
And that's why we've been able to sign him to a 3-year deal yesterday for SA20. You know, obviously, I think it was way back when Pedro Collins spotted him, and obviously that's Emma's best friend. And Emma's probably been his agent the entire length of not only his international career, but his domestic regional career as well. So, you know, I think that Shai continues to grow as a player, as a person, as you said. Like, it's not just the performances on the field, the rewards of obviously franchise tournaments outside of international cricket, but the way he carries himself, the way he eats, the way he lives, the way he trains, the way he sleeps, the way he dedicates himself to international cricket and performance at that level. I think it's a good thing, and I hope that other guys are taking note, especially the younger players, because there's so much to learn and benefit from having a true professional, and that's probably one of the true professionals in West Indies cricket.
Definitely. And the one thing I've noticed, obviously being involved, obviously from the agency aspect to it, is you see what he does from an S&C perspective. You see what he does behind, you know, from a training side. You see on his socials in terms of, you know, I think after straight back from India, no, sorry, not India, after the series, one of the in-between series, he's in there, he's in the gym, he's working on course. You know, you can see, and that's what you're saying from a professional perspective, that he's rubbing and influencing, which is what you want. The point, obviously, what I was following on from Shai a little bit as well, is obviously in relation to the comment you said about Shafane Rutherford, you know, needing a break. and in being replaced there with Amir Django, which would then take off, some of, it allows him to wicket keep and then take that off Shai as well, which is going to be an important thing for that balance aspect as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I think obviously Sherfane and Rutherford is struggling a bit, and West Indies having wrapped up the series now, I think there's nothing wrong with giving him, a game off. I would even let him stay at the hotel, just be away from a cricket ground for a bit.
Yeah.
Obviously start thinking about New Zealand, just be in the hotel, relax, bring Amir Django in, which is twofold, because obviously replaces Sherfane as a left-hander option in the middle order, but he can keep wicket and give Shai some rest from keeping, because obviously he's keeping across formats as well, and playing pretty much every single game across formats as well. So it's multifold, because his batting is so invaluable for the West Indies at this point of his career that you can't burn him out with having him have to keep every single game as well. No. So you're getting that experience and exposure into Amir Django as a batter, as a wicketkeeper, as an international player, while still benefiting from having Shai on the field and refreshing Sherfane and Rutherford for future tournaments as well.
Yeah, that's it. It's having that long-term planning and also that sort of backup plan for various things as well. Because if it does get to a point where it's getting a bit too much for Shai, then you've got to back up. Okay, we can slip Amir Django in. He can take the gloves, allow Shai, to go out there and just be that batter. And from there, so I think it's a really good point, and hopefully something they do look at as well, because obviously from Shafane's benefit, you kind of want to see him in that better place as well. And if that is just taking a little bit of time, like you said, you're leaving the hotel, you just take your time and do what you need to do. And I think it's a good point that you mentioned. Looking at the bowling, obviously the points you just wanted to say was talking about Akeal Hosein and Jason Holder becoming the consistent bankers with Roston as well.
Yeah, I think Akeal Hosein has been very consistent, not just now, for quite some time. Yeah. I like the fact that he got the opportunity to bowl through the middle. I've been big on that as well. Yes. I've been big on him getting the opportunity to bowl through the middle. He actually closed out the game at the end today. Yeah. So that's showing a lot of versatility, not being able only to bowl up front or through the middle, but now adding a depth skill to his arsenal as well. Yeah. I think that, especially with the Kyrie pair in the team as well, that's someone that can potentially open the bowling as well, because he does that in domestic franchise tournaments as well. Yeah. So it's starting to shape very well for the West Indies. Obviously, the T20 World Cup is going to be in these conditions, obviously not in Bangladesh, but India and Sri Lanka. And so most likely you're going to play three spinners. You've got a Gudakesh Moti on the bench as well. So you're starting to build a spin bowling squad or spin bowling depth with four spinners, obviously three left-armers and Roston for the variety in his off breaks as well. Yeah. I'm liking the look of that side of the bowling department. Obviously, Jason Holder, I think, is the leading wicket taker in T20 cricket in 2025 across the world. Continue to use his experience and show that, obviously high quality seam bowling, regardless of conditions, regardless of where in the world, is still an asset. His experience, I think, is much needed in this team. Yeah. And to be able to guide a young Jaden Seales, who I think is developing nicely into a white ball cricketer now, not only in T20 cricket, but in 50 over cricket, adds a lot of depth to the West Indies team. Yeah. And it puts someone like a Romario Shepherd under a lot of pressure, because you've got an Alzari Joseph who, once returns to fitness, is going to slot straight back into that team. Yep. And if Jaden can bowl that new ball and take early wickets and swing it about, then you've got the option of Alzari at high pace coming through the middle, with Jason coming through the middle and the spin bowling options as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think the point you mentioned there about Akeal Hosein bowling in the middle over and in the back end is definitely something that's a real positive, because as we saw when they played Australia combated that by opening the batting with Glenn Maxwell. So when you go into the World Cup, teams will know it's predictable. It becomes that predictable element. So with him having that, you can start to second guess teams if they do roll out with the Glenn Maxwell and somebody. You can go with your two quicks, then, and all of a sudden it changes the opposition's game plan, which is what you want. You don't want that predictability. And the fact that you mentioned there that he's got the skill set at the front end if needed, the middle end and the back end, it's a real good situation to be in.
100%. And as I mentioned, if not in the last podcast, the one before that, Akeal Hosein is someone, in my opinion, that should be considered across all formats. Like, he's at that age now and at that level. He's got that experience from playing cricket around the world now, where I think that he'd be a valuable contributor to West Indies cricket across formats. So very happy that he's not just showing glimpses here and there, but he's pretty much consistent across formats, across matches that he's playing now.
Yeah, no, and that's it. And the point you mentioned there about Romario Shepherd as well, like, it was good to see him come back with a performance today as well. You know, and that's when you talk about this competition for places and bringing players in. It's really good to see that.
Yeah, and I think even more importantly, it was a performance with him from the ball as opposed to the bat. Obviously, we know what we can do with the bat, and he's quite devastating and destructive and probably more consistent with the bat than with the ball. But what will keep him in this team, if he is to stay in this team, is his bowling. Obviously, he's not known to be the most economical, but today I think that he was able to keep his economy in check given the conditions and still strike and pick up wickets, which was vitally important, because I was wondering how are the West Indies going to split the overs between him and Kari Peer, but he was able to get through a good quarter of overs and strike and pick up important wickets for the West Indies, which enabled them to restrict Bangladesh and keep them to less than what the West Indies made. So that was a very, very important individual and team performance from Romario Shepherd today. Yeah,
definitely. And like I said, the team, like that is, when you talk about team performances, it does feel like they're developing that momentum, especially from a T20 perspective, where people are understanding their roles, people are understanding when, you know, how to get the best out of the players. And I think that role thing is something that we spoke about before, and you start to see it now. They understand their role in that side, and then that's when you see the performances pick up as well. So
100%. And now obviously, I mean, as we said, the big pluses so far have been West Indies winning games batting first.
Yes.
And now obviously showing versatility and flexibility in using two seamers to open the bowling in defense of a total, as opposed to the traditional Akeal Hosein.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to seeing going into New Zealand when they play the T20s in New Zealand, because it is obviously you know, we're going to be playing New Zealand in New Zealand. We know what New Zealand are like when it comes to this. They're a very well-oiled side, and I think they'll be interesting to see where West Indies are now in terms of that levels before going into the World Cup. I appreciate different conditions and stuff, but you'll see obviously where they're at from that standard as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing where they match against a side like New Zealand as well.
100%. Obviously, different conditions, so we'll expect the likes of Matthew Fords, etc., to come back into the team and into the reckoning. Not necessarily, I guess, in that standpoint, the greatest preparation for the World Cup, because you know the World Cup are in completely different conditions, but you have to play players based on where you're going. Of course, and it's still an opportunity to see guys and start having an understanding of who's going to be sort of in that final World Cup squad as well. So great opportunity for guys going to New Zealand.
No, of course. No, it's good. It's good performance, and like you said, it's going in a nice way. So interesting to see how the third T20 goes, but let us know what you thought to the performances. Let us know what you thought to some of the comments that we've keep continuing to subscribe, and we both really appreciate it. And any questions, do let us know, and Karen will get back to you. So thank you very much, guys.